yeah, I'm taking off. I'm going to complete my circumnavigation this season. So, up until now, I've sort of been looking for a partner that wanted to do this with me. Now I am just focused on finding the right crew that fit together well, that fill in all the holes, and trying to leave romance out of it. Yeah, I'm super stoked. Carriacou, and then up to Bequia and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Martinique and Dominica and Guadeloupe, and Antigua to St. Martin and the U.S. Virgin Islands, British Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, up through the Bahamas to Florida to Brunswick Landing Marina in Georgia. That's the plan, in low tide, as sailors' plans always are. So yeah, just getting the boat ready inside and out. There's a couple small things going on inside. Got some second opinions if it's anything that I should worry about before I take off. One thing had become apparent. The ignition needed to be replaced as the key was corroded and sometimes the engine wouldn't start on the first try. This rat nest of wires was actually quite straightforward, and now my engine starts right up, knock on wood. Michael was still here on his boat, Amiga Mia, so he was always ready to help me with Brickhouse and always ready to distract me a little bit. Girls just want to have fun.
I'm going to try not to crash the dinghy as
Michael then left to South Africa to participate in the Cape to Rio race, and I was on my own. But because of my very excellent social life in Prickly Bay, Grenada, there were other people too who were always willing to help me. To everyone there, I thank you so much. So this is a dinghy dock in Grenada, and you can see how everybody is so close into the dock. There's really almost no room at all to come in and out. Everybody has really short painters. But some of them could theoretically go out longer, but people don't do it, so then when you try to come in, it's hard to come in. And you can see my dinghy is the one that's way out, so this guy can come in really easy and have space because I have a long painter. If I didn't have a long painter, my boat would be right where his is right now, and then somebody would have a hard time coming in. So always make your painters long and your chains as long as possible so that people can come in. Otherwise, it looks like that when you go to park, and it's much harder to get in. So yeah, one thing that I need to just go through is my monitor wind vane, just make sure everything's moving freely, remind myself how to get the paddle down in a seaway, the lines here, and make sure they're tight enough and remember how to tie them, and review the book for that, make sure I remember how to do that. I got pretty much an expert during our last crossing, but just want to make sure I've got that. Wind generator working. It's not very windy right now, so it's not spinning, but that's purring away when it is windy. Yeah, just getting Brickhouse ready. Probably should take those off, my motion sensors. Getting lots of water into the tanks. Got to fill the jerry cans for the diesel and put, probably do about 3 or 4 runs on those and put that in the tank. I don't really like going to the dock to get fuel, so I can't put it in slow enough. And then here, this line is no longer on the bottom of my mooring ball. All my lines are twisted, but there is no line going to the bottom of the mooring anymore. And the reason that I have a line on the bottom of the mooring was for hurricane season, just in case the top of the mooring split for some reason, or top of the mooring failed. I wanted a line on the bottom of the mooring attached that way too, so that, yeah, just double the strength. But more safe moorings are pretty good, so I probably didn't need to do that, but you know me, plan A, plan B. It's quite a mess. This is actually quite cleaned up. I've taken a lot of the growth off of it, but now that it's dry, I need to just brush it all off and clean off the decks and coil up the line and put it away for next time. The windlass, I need to go over using the windlass a little bit. Remembering how to use that brake and the pole, and getting the anchor up over the bow roller safely, and all that kind of good stuff, taking the clay out. I decided it was a good idea to change the oil in the windlass, but I know that when Patrick changed it, he took the windlass totally off the deck and emptied it upside down on land. I was not going to do that. So I had to figure out how to get the oil out of the windlass. That was a little bit of a challenge. Out of the windlass. This is what I did. to change the windlass oil. You're supposed to do that every 2 years, from what I understand. My freaking oil pump that I had wouldn't go down into the pump deep enough to get anything out. Too. So next I tried the dinghy pump. Why not? That's some good air. Foot pump does anything. Because really we should be tilting this windlass forward. Yeah, that should work. Yeah, that's working. Yep, that's getting the oil to get out. It's basically I'm blowing air through it down to the bottom to force the oil out. There is a hole at the top here, and then down here I have a container taped to the windlass. It's not all going in there, but it's catching the bulk of it. Wish it was catching all of it because I'm gonna have to know how much to put in. If anyone knows a better way to do this, please let me know. I just didn't want to take it off of the deck and then have to seal everything back up again, but I would love to know a better way to do this. I know it's probably not the best way. It took a long time, but I got more time than I've got money. And maybe some clever person out there will also say, I've got more time than I have brains. But the oil actually looks pretty clean, so I probably didn't even have to do it, but they say you should do it every 2 years. It's been about 3 years now since it's been done, so I'm doing it in prep for this trip. Wish me luck. So slowly but surely it is getting all the oil out. See, the container's almost full now. But gotta make sure that that's always over the hole as I pump, otherwise it's blowing air out like that. Don't want that, we want it to blow it right into the hole. And as you can see, there's also a little O-ring in there I mustn't forget. Poured the clean green into this little sight glass. This is the sight glass for the windlass, and before you couldn't see the front of it, but sort of cleaned in there. I tried it first with Q-tips, but the Q-tips wouldn't really get everything. But the pipe cleaner can bend and get behind this little silver part here to make the whole front. And as you can see now, you can actually see the whole sight glass. And what does it say? Elisa. Anyway, the oil is supposed to be up to about there. So now I'll be able to see how much oil I put back in the windlass. Before it was, wish I had gotten a picture of it to show you, but it was completely and totally brown. You could not see anything at all. So now you can see all of it. But the decks are relatively clear now. If you see anything wrong, let me know. Did a rigging inspection last week when Michael was still here. He hoisted me up the mast with his friend Barry, and I took a look at everything. Everything looks to be in good working order, ready to go. Take the windows off right before we go. But yeah, the mooring field is starting to clear out. You know, there's still a lot of boats on a lot of moorings, but as you can see, there are some mooring balls. Got a new jerry can because the old one looks like it's about to spring a leak, and I don't need that drama. There's no time to borrow. Today is a good. As you can see, I have my lines set up so I can practice my knots. So this is for an anchor override. So over, through the loop, over, through that loop, and over once again. And then you can pull all you want, and it doesn't slip. So first what I did was I blocked up this window with a bag and tape to see if the water would stop leaking inside, to see if this is where the leak was actually coming to. And I have decided that it is the window that's leaking, so I'm going all out. I've never done it before. I'm taking out the port light. So that's the trim around the window, and I just have it holding in by one screw to show you, but I've taken that out. Take the last screw out, take this plate off. I should probably put the sticky part up, and I'll have to clean that all up and make it all flat and new again, which I'll do in a bit. And then what I have left is this window right here. So now the rest of that window is taken out from the inside. So let's go see what it looks like inside. It's going to take a lot of cleanup, of course, but I have it off. And yes, it's me doing this work by myself. Gotta help us all. All right, let's clean it up. So this is my problem today. Found a oily, getting it out, an oily, broken hose clamp around the PSI or PSY, whatever it's called, on my engine. And I know there's not supposed to be a broken hose clamp, and it's right around that thing, so I know it's from that. There's 3 others holding it on. At the boat show, I was told to kind of feel the bellows, and the bellows all feel soft and supple, so I don't think I have a problem with that. But I'm not sure why I have oil all over my hands from this hose clamp and from the gland, so I want to find out, one, is it supposed to be oiled? And maybe it just has oil on it because it's supposed to have oil on it to keep it soft or something. Or is the oil eating it? I don't know. Petroleum, I guess. Petroleum jelly eats rubber, as we all know from being a teenager. So yeah, I need to get some new hose clamps and figure out what's going with that. Access is horrible, so I had to stick my camera in there to even see. But that's part of getting a boat ready to go. So an update, I did find crew. I found Henry in England. He's 36 years old. He'll be a lot of fun. And Suzanne, who has lived on another boat for about 3 years, very similar to Brick House. And she will be sailing with me as well. She's a lady about my age. And so it'll be fun to have a lady on board and a young man. So crew comes 2 weeks from today, and the reality of it all is starting to set in. The crew that I'm getting is not overly experienced, and I am truly going to be the captain of the boat. I've always been the admiral, but never been the captain. So feeling a little bit stressed about that. I'm working down a long list of things to do on the boat to make sure that things are as good as possible before everybody gets on board. Anything from, making sure that all the bunks have sheets. I have a new cushion made for the bow, so I have one more place for people to sleep and have a little bit of privacy and be comfortable. Still got to pick up a few pillows. I fixed the autopilot, I hope. Fix the wind generator that's purring along, fix the refrigerator, which is always a constant ongoing issue, but that seems to be working very nicely right now. I'm going to turn on the freezer in a few days and make sure that that's working, so that if it isn't, I have some time to monkey around with it and get it working. I'm practicing a few knots that are important to know. I don't know why I didn't learn those knots like 15 years ago, but learning a few more knots that I can use in emergencies, like for a winch override or that kind of thing. So what I'm doing right now is, I have these pajamas that I really like, but they have holes in the side of them. I cut out the pockets. They make my hips look bigger than they are already. So I cut out the pockets long ago, and they've sort of been like built-in air conditioning. But since I have platonic crew coming that really don't want to see my thighs, I'm sewing these holes up with my little sewing kit, and I'm going to make these pajamas wearable with the crew. This morning I got the word that Henry, the 36-year-old, has canceled due to some kind of medical problem. Pretty last minute. Going to be setting sail from Grenada next week. You know, I'd like it to be more than just me and Suzanne, the girl that's coming with me. Yeah, a lot is going to fall to me. I'm feeling like, oh gosh, maybe I should have gotten people with more experience, you know, captains, you know, that kind of thing. But I didn't, because I, you know, at least want to go the first few hundred miles in territory that I know, you know, and know that I can do it. You know, it's like I know I can do it, but I don't know that I can do it, and I'm getting pretty stressed out about doing it. But I think, you know, I think it'll be okay. But I'm going over a few things, making sure I know, like, you know, for example, I've always been the one behind the wheel. You know, when we drop an anchor, I've never been at the anchor. You know, Michael and Patrick both kind of showed me, you know, what to do, what not to do, but I've never actually done it at all, ever, not once. So, you know, I've done it on other people's boats, but I've never done it on Brick House. So the bottom is clean, the prop is clean, the zincs have been changed. I'm untied from the bottom of the mooring. I'm only holding onto the mooring from the top like a normal person. And making sure it's comfortable and safe. Yeah, I downloaded all of the updates for my Navionics subscriptions, renewed all my subscriptions, downloaded all the charts for the USA, all the charts for the Bahamas, all the charts for the Caribbean. Even I have a platinum Navionics, so now I have satellite charts right on my Raymarine chart plotter, so that's pretty cool. Not going to activate my Iridium Go because I'm going to have cellular for most of this trip, and I think that's going to be fine rather than spending the money. But I am going to have the full subscription to Predict Wind, just in case. You know, I thought about just getting the standard subscription now, but just in case it doesn't give me something that I'm used to getting, I'd rather just have the full subscription and get everything possible from Predict Wind that I can. My Iridium Go has been what has displayed my tracking over the last 2 or 3 years, but now my data hub from Predict Wind does the same thing in its place with just cellular. First, I just cut off this right here. Just don't need that. I will keep it either for another use or if I ever want to make this 110. But for now, I just have this connector on the end now, and then I have this naked wire the end, and so I'm going to strip that now, then I'll have a positive and negative. It's been a pretty emotional day. I love living in the Caribbean. Yeah, I love living in the Caribbean, but if I stay here in Grenada, I might never finish my circumnavigation, and I need to get that behind me so I can move on with the rest of my life. And it's pretty stressful going without Patrick, without Michael. They both know the boat really, really well, both knew the boat really well. And feels like I should probably be finishing with Michael, but wish I was finishing with Patrick, but that's not an option. So I'm gonna finish with strangers, and you know, for the first part of the trip, I'll have 2 kind of less experienced people to go with. They seem like great people and they're going to be a lot of fun. And then, so that's Henry and Suzanne. You'll meet them, I'm sure, in a future video. And then a guy named Joshua will come. Sorry, I should be really happy, right? Middle of December, Joshua will be joining me. He has a lot more experience, and he's actually used to training women how to be more confident skippers on their boats, so that'll be a really good choice for me. And I just have to focus on getting there and not be thinking about a relationship on top of everything else. I'm stressed enough, I don't need to think about a relationship. I need to forget about the boys right now and just focus on getting there and staying safe and keeping my crew safe and keeping my boat safe. That's what's most important right now. So, boy, the sun is tough. I don't know why I'm so stressed. Everybody says I can do this. You know, I do have a lot of confidence in myself, but I know that I've only been half of a team all this time. And I know that my crew is going to be great, really on my team and really, you know, ready to do this with me. And I'm excited to have them. But, you know, I think it's mostly just about becoming a captain. Yeah, I want to be a good captain. So trying to get ready for that. Yeah, I'm just having a really emotional day going towards this. I'm always a little nervous leaving port. You know, even with Michael I was, and even with Patrick I was, but now I'm a little nervous leaving port because I know it's really falling to me now. I can't go to bed when there's a storm. No storms allowed. Cross your fingers for me. No storms allowed. No bad weather. Predict wind will be with me there. Yeah, the circumnavigation will be done in Florida. Coast came down the whole coast of the entire USA, so I can finish pretty much anywhere on the east. Actually, I finish it in the southern Bahamas, probably in some, if I remember it right, it was some deserted island with no people on it, no internet, so I won't even be able to shout that, yay, I finished. So I'm just going to go through the Bahamas and not call it quite finished yet in the Bahamas, even though I've been to practically every island in the Bahamas. So that'll be sort of the semi-official end to the circumnavigation. But I'd like to end on the east coast of Florida, and then for hurricane season, I'll be, you know, Jacksonville or Georgia. Brunswick Landing Marina looks like a pretty cool place, so I've booked in some time there for, I think it's May. So I'll figure out the next step from there. No idea, trying to make no plans. I don't think I'm finished crossing oceans or cruising, but not so sure what boat I'm going to do it, how I'm going to do it. Yeah, so much can happen between then and now, or I guess between now and then. Yeah, I'm just getting the boat ready and getting my heart ready and my soul ready and my head ready and trying to get in the most positive space that I can get in, and I know I can do this. Hope I can do this. Yeah, I know I can do this. Becoming captain of Brick House, and wish me luck. Oh my God, crew is coming tomorrow and the next day. Here we go. There's no turning back now.
I was in the dark against it all, but made it through the day, cause I found my way. I found my way. In bad times, I know I'll be okay, cause I found my way.